Okay, so the other one didn't work. So hold on a second. How do I share this? Oh, yes. Okay, so I'm sorry. Somebody will need to help me out with live streaming because I'm just not able to schedule anything. So I can see your chat. Say hello, please. Hi. Okay. So while everybody else is joining, I want to start with a question. Do you waste time and do you feel guilty about it or do you like it? So just leave your comments. Sometimes I need it, sometimes guilty. Hi Ashwini, hi Rashmi, hi Sandhya, hi Subhashini. Mostly feel guilty wasting time. So I think waste a lot of time mindlessly. So I think everybody kind of agrees that we do waste time, right? Maybe you'll change your mind about that in a moment. Waste time unintentionally. Yes. So the topic sounds very funny, I know. After many years, if you look back, you feel very guilty. Why? Why not for the last 5 minutes? Yeah, I waste a lot of time. Okay, so it's such a funny topic to talk about how to waste time. But I think for anyone on the spiritual pathway, the process is about doing everything consciously, right? As long as you're doing something consciously, you you're more alive through that process. So there are certain kinds of waste of time that are like death, and there are certain wastes of time that can make you that in which you are more alive, that can leave you feeling a lot more alive at the end than before. Yeah. So instead of doing work, I watched a movie, Pallavi says. Okay. So in Sanskrit, there is this term called mood, and there is no equivalent English word. Maybe the closest is lethargy. But I think before we begin to, discuss wasting time and why we should do it, I think we need to understand the difference between wasting time and sheer lethargy. When you are completely dysfunctional, you you can't really, it's not like you choose to waste time, right? It just happens because you don't have any other choice. That kind of utter lethargy is not a good sign. It's not good for you. It's not good for those around you, and definitely not good for those who are dependent upon you. So just look at your life and analyze what parts, at what times and how frequently am I just going into the collapse mode where I can't function, where I'm, like watching a movie because I have no energy to do anything else. That usually happens because we're overloading ourselves. So you may want to look a little bit more closely at priorities and stuff like that. It also happens when we're overstressed. Now, here, what we're going to do is we're going to sort of reverse things. Stress is basically when there's too much going on and you don't feel safe in life. The more we learn to relax, the more our system feels, oh, okay, life is good. Because you're only running when something is wrong, when you're not safe, when life is dangerous. Think about it in terms of a forest. You run when you're being chased, right? So if you're running through life, your system starts to think that life is a dangerous place. So if life is a dangerous place, then you can never really relax because relaxation happens when you're safe. And that is why relaxation is so, so important. And for me, it became very obvious many years ago when I read an article on why you should read fiction. We have become so focused as a society on accomplishments and doing things. Like I was reading somewhere that even in Bill Gates' list of books he's read, there was some hundred something books, and there was just like nine fiction or something like that. It's like reading fiction is a waste of time. And I love reading fiction, and yet for years, I think for almost over a decade, I did not read fiction at all because it felt like such a waste of time. Like, what do I accomplish reading fiction? Pointless. There's nothing to learn, there's nothing to gain. Of course, now science says, no, no, you do become empathetic and all that. But I mean, come on, compared to learning something with heavy duty, knowledge, fiction is not much. Why would you waste time on fiction? And that's when I came across this idea, which convinced me, and that's what I wanted to share with you today. And that was that the moment we waste time, we're telling our body that we're really super successful. I'm sure a lot of you have heard this story before, but I'll repeat it anyway in case you haven't. So it's a very popular one where we talk about this fisherman, just chilling out on the beach, relaxing, doing nothing, probably smoking something. And this super successful businessman comes along and he's appalled. Like, how can someone be this lazy, right? So he's like talking to the fisherman and he says, why are you wasting time? And he says, what else would I do then? He says, you've already done your work. He says, yeah, went and I finished my part of fishing. I sold it, and now I'm free. So he says, well, what if you got a bigger boat, went out further into the sea? Well, what would I get with that? You'd get more money, and what would I get with that? He says, you would buy another boat with all the money that you save, and maybe you'd hire people, and then so on and so forth, and until you become super successful and you have so much in your life, and you're, I don't know, millionaire, billionaire. And then he says, then what would I get out of that? He said, then you can live a cool life chilling out on the beach, not doing any work while everyone else works for you. He's like, what do you think I'm doing now? Have you realized that a lot of the times we end up fantasizing for a future where we can feel not guilty wasting time? Why do you think that is? Very, very few people tell me that I dream of a life where I have like such a huge impact that I'm working 20 hours a day. I don't need sleep. I wish, Ashwita, I could never sleep. I wish I did not have time to, spend with my loved ones, which also, by the way, is actually a waste of time if you look at it from the perspective of accomplishments. What do you get? So, nobody tells me that. Everybody ultimately wants to earn so much so that they can retire and do nothing, right? So, why do you think that is? What are we really seeking here? Subconsciously, we are seeking for a life where we are not afraid and we're feeling safe enough to waste time. And the truth is, you can waste time right now, right? And it's not actually a waste of time. Obviously, it's not, but that is exactly what you're doing here. The moment you start doing that, you're signaling to your brain, to your body, that you are totally safe. Obviously, you are super successful, and all of those things that you fantasize you want to be in order to get to a place where you can waste time. And the most beautiful part of this is it's when you waste time, when you relax, not bothered about anything, when the most brilliant ideas also strike. So, actually, the more relaxed you become, the more comfortable you are wasting time in the right ways, not in this mind numbing mood, like I called it, the mood, state where you're just mind numb and just scrolling through the social media feed without even realizing what you're reading, or watching TV because you have no energy. That's not what I'm talking about. But if you really waste time productively, oxymoron, but then you're going to start having more clarity of thought, because the mind is also going to relax a lot more. When you're more relaxed, you see a lot more. When you see a lot more, you can obviously take better decisions. Also, when we waste time properly, the system starts to heal, because it doesn't spend energy and all the adrenaline and all of that anymore. But let us understand what this wasting time is all about. When, like I said, the lethargy is different. Wasting time is really resting and doing something that brings you no results at all. And it is in the waste of time that happiness lies. Look at all the things that really bring you joy when you're looking into the eyes of someone you love. Oh, it's a waste of time, isn't it? Then you're putting a puzzle together. It is a waste of time. When you're reading a good book, fiction, oh my God, such a waste of time. But it makes you so happy. I think it was 2 weeks ago that I was reading a book, and it was so vivid and so real for me that I actually, for those 3 days that I was reading the book, I felt like life felt like I was in a book. It felt unreal. And like I'd go back to my world when I would read that book. It's not every book that makes me feel like that, and that was special. But it's so good. So wasting time well is the secret to being happy. So, how do you waste time well? Make sure that you don't overload yourself and get into the lethargy state. So, when you want to do that, what you have to start prioritizing is to start letting go of the things that are less important. So getting your priorities in order is very, very important. The thing is, we want. So again, that gets us into the whole chasing mode. So get out of the chasing mode, pick 2 or 3 things that are important, give it everything you've got, stop distractions. Now, distractions is a bad waste of time, right? You want to take a break, especially most of us work on computers all the time. You want to take a good waste of time break. Don't look at your phone. Don't check your social media. We're working on the computers, our eyes are getting tired. Look elsewhere, look outside the window, or look, have a shift of distance, look away at a faraway wall. If you have a nice window, look far away at the trees or the mountains. Shift, close, far, exercise your eyes. You can look up Bates exercises, take a little break, 5-minute break. It's great for your eyes, protects your eyes, and it gives your brain a rest. Social media doesn't. Your brain gets rested. If you're doing this like every hour or so, you're going to be far more efficient at your work, which means you finish work faster, which means you get more time to waste. Uh, that is more or less what I wanted to say. Um, if you have any questions, go ahead and ask. I think I'm done with what I had to convey. So unfortunately, I was in a hurry, so I didn't choose the setting where I get instant updates, but so maybe in about 10 seconds I can reply. No questions? Or am I not getting the comments in time? Oh, is watching a good movie a bad waste of time? What would be good examples of wasting time? Very nice questions. If is self Arifa, can you clarify? Is self life a waste of time? Self love. Yeah, in a way it is. It depends on how you look at it. Is self love a waste of time? It could be, depending on your perspective. But is watching a good movie a bad waste of time? See, if it's a choice, it's probably not a bad waste of time. So if you are watching a movie because you're completely exhausted, you have no energy at all, but it's a choice. Like there was for a while, I chose to watch movies because I was quite overwhelmed with some deep emotional work that I was doing, and I would literally be capable of doing nothing else. So I decided that the most effective substitute coping mechanism, it wasn't the best, but I mean, it was really in deep. So I decided consciously that I'm just going to binge watch for a while because any other coping mechanism would be more dangerous, like ending up eating or something like that is not a good idea. So I said, okay, I'm just going to pick some simple movies that don't hurt my system. So if it's a choice, you could do it. um, the question is, are you in a position to choose? And I mean, even a bad movie could be a good waste of time if you just if it really makes you happy. So I think what would qualify as a good or a bad waste of time is just really ask yourself, how did I feel at the end of this? Does social media ever make you happy? When you go scrolling down, 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 it's just such a brain numbing thing. I think social media is the alcohol of information. Anyone who's experienced a real high would laugh at what alcohol does to your system. I mean, it's such a numb, dumbing down feeling. I don't even know why they call it a high. So social media is that. Just observe yourself the next time you're just scrolling down. It's just like this brain dead kind of situation that you go through. Why would you ever do that to yourself? That's why I've been kind of very off social media lately. But what I actually like is where I mostly waste, but what I really need is like a force. Yeah, is it? Yes, Ashwini, what you're talking about, it is sounding like a coping mechanism. If you're being forced to rest, basically, I think that's what you mean. If you're being forced to rest, then you need to take rest more seriously. It's like, think about it like servicing a car. I mean, if you're obsessed with getting to places and stuff like that, the servicing of a car is very, very important. But one day or 2 days or 3 days, maybe a good mechanic would take a whole 3 days to work on it. So you could leave it with a really crap mechanic who will give it to you in half a day. But then that's a bad waste of time. Instead, you take 3 days off, which is a really long waste of time, but it's really productive. That good waste of time is going to charge you for the next 6 months. What do you do when you're a creative person, taking in stimulus versus authentic self actualization? I think you need a balance of both, right? But yeah, I would just say get a balance of both because taking in stimulus is also great. But the thing is, when you are more rested, you're well rested, you're going to multiply that stimulus a lot more as well. You're going to observe more, you're going to do more, see more, feel more, and obviously feel a much bigger need to create as well. So, and then what would be good examples of wasting time? Obviously, I've listed fiction. Some movies can be really good. Like, there are a couple of movies I've watched. There's very few these days which don't come with heavy duty negative hypnosis. But there's a couple of movies that I watched which actually left me feeling as if my insides had been scrubbed clean for about 3 days. It's not funny, just, a 1.5 hour movie and feeling clean inside for 3 days. Movies can do that to you. So that would be a fantastic waste of time. But then you have to watch it with, a little focus and a little attention to have that kind of impact. Yes, and mandala art, of course, any kind of art. Art is a total waste of time, isn't it? What does it get you unless you're like a world famous artist that makes like $900 million or something like that on probably a canvas where you've just made one stroke and you get like nine. That happens. You should see some of the most expensive paintings. It's mad. But if you're not one of those people, what do you get out of making art? Nothing at all. You're never going to make a profession out of it. You won't earn a single penny, off of it. Chances are you spend thousands of rupees on it. But any kind of art, whether it is singing or knitting or crochet or embroidery or anything, uh, they are absolutely fantastic. Name of the movies ping me personally. They're not. They're a little. One really nice one is The Peaceful Warrior. Another really nice one is The 100 Foot Journey. Now that was really clean. But there's another favor you can ping me personally for that. I'll share. Uh, I think there were a couple of books also in that category. Yeah, just message me personally. I'll share with you. I think if you ping Tanushri also, she has a whole list. Okay, what else? What do you mean by heavy duty hypnosis because of movies? Movies have a lot of hypnosis. All social media has a lot of hypnosis. All kinds of media has hypnosis. What you read has hypnosis. So everybody is basically hypnotizing you into, you know, believing certain things. Movies do that a lot. Especially some of the most popular movies that I see. I don't want to name them, but some of the most popular movies are such horrible hypnosis. You're just being brainwashed. But yeah, some of them can be very, very clean as well. We can have another discussion on that another day. Basically, I would just say that hypnosis is um, on many, many levels. There could be like repetition of information, plus, there are a lot of moments in movies where your brain is super open, where it's super receptive. Have you ever noticed when you're watching TV, just like you don't realize someone is talking to you and stuff? You are in hypnosis when you're watching TV, but what's being fed to you? It's not always productive. So you have to be careful about what movies you choose and with what focus you watch them. But looks like that is it. Unless I've missed out on some questions, I wouldn't know. There's a little lag. So thank you so much for joining me. I still haven't figured out how to do these scheduled streams. So hopefully I find out soon. But yeah, thanks for joining me. Maybe we'll do something on um hypnosis soon. Bye bye.